And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel. Today we're taking a look at Don Eskridge's Abandoned Planet. Now I mentioned his name because this had me really fascinated. This is a game from Orange Machine Games. It's the first in a line of games from this company that are 4 to 8 player games that everyone is playing simultaneously, kind of sort of working together, which is based on his first game, which wasn't from his company, another company called The Resistance. You may have heard of it, extremely popular game. So I was very anxious for this one. And this one, the meteor apocalypse is upon us. They're hitting Earth. We got to figure out how to get people off Earth. You cannot win this game alone. You got to work with somebody else. Here's how it plays. At the beginning of the game, each player is going to have a spaceship that they're going to be using here. You pick your color, so some of the spaceships I think are a little cooler than others. I really like this one myself. But you're going to pick your color. You're also going to get your own sheet. This is where you're going to keep the different resources that you get. There's fuel, tech, food, parts, and tools. You can see them all over here. And then there's also scrap. Scrap basically, once you get 3 scrap, you can trade it in for a resource of your choice. And then meteorites, these are going to let you do some special actions as the game goes by. So at the beginning of the game, a meteorite is going to strike. So you'll shuffle this deck here, draw a card. 5. Now, depending on how many players depends on how much it's destroyed. So we'll pretend it's a 5 or 6 player game, in which case this one's completely destroyed, and we put the number 5 here. This does a couple things. First of all, we know that 5 is not going to get hit next turn. Starting from next turn, you'll only hit 1 at a time on each one. But we know 5 is a safe place to go next turn. If you want to go, there's no real reason to go there. And so players are going to, when there's only 1 lane left, everyone loses. Now what players are trying to do is they're trying to get everything on their goal card. So what we have here is a standard rocket. There's also a rounded rocket, an outlier rocket, and a custom rocket. You can make whatever you want. So with a standard rocket, you need 4 tools, 4 parts, 3 food, 2 tech, and 2 fuel. To do that, you and another player must have those together. And unless it's a 4-player game, it can't be either player next to you. So I can't go with that person or that person over there. Instead, I have to pick one of the other players. So let's say I'm playing a 6-player game. There are 3 other players I can ally with. To ally, we need to have a tool prepped. So at the beginning of each round, you say, does anyone want to prep? So you would prep a tool by moving it up here. Only you and another player who's prepped can win together. And you need to have everything on that card. So obviously you're not going to do that for several turns. You have no resources. Each turn there's a leader. The leader is going to look at the top card here, shuffle them and look at it. The leader will know what direction, obviously, the meteorite's coming. Each player has a deck of cards that matches their color, and these cards have numbers that match the 6 different lanes. Each person is going to secretly pick which one they're going to. So maybe I'll pick 1. And then everyone reveals them at the same time. So if I play 1, I can fly my spaceship. I'm the black spaceship. I can fly it to here or here. If I go here, I get a green resource, a food, and a piece of scrap. If I go out here, I roll a die to see what I get. That's a parts and a piece of scrap. So I can pick which one I go to as I go to each place. And each player is going to do that, starting with the leader and going around the table. If you go to a spot where someone already is, then that person has to decide what they're going to do. They can just basically surrender. If they surrender, anything in their loading bay, the loading bay is where you're going to put the different resources that you got in any particular round, they give it to you. Or if they happen to have a gun, they can show that gun, and then they win and steal your stuff, unless you have a shield to block their gun. So players have those options there where they're going to basically, whenever you land on them, they can allow it, play a cannon, or they can even bribe you. I can give you 2 scrap and basically say, here's the 2 scrap, I'm giving this to you, there's no winner or loser, nothing happens. So that's pretty much it. If you steal stuff, you put it in your loading bay or whatever, because it might be stolen from you later on. When the round's over, everything from your loading bay comes down into here. If you did get beat up by another player, or if the meteor hits you, because at the end of the round we do this, and if meteor hits you, you also lose everything here, but you will get another meteorite piece and then a piece of scrap. And these meteorite pieces can do different things. This one here lets you go to wherever you want when you fly out. There's sabotage, where you can steal scrap from other people. There's a delay one, a little clock, which lets you go after everyone else has gone, so you can see what everyone else has done first. There's also a few special tiles. Here you get a resource of your choice. When you go here, you can slide over one if you want to. And as time goes by, these things are going to be destroyed. Whenever one is destroyed, you'll be replacing it with an aftermath card, which fits right there. And here, when you go to here, you can pay 1 scrap for 1 food, and the food cannot be stolen. So that's kind of a neat thing, because these are going to change from game to game. Anyway, eventually, after a turn has ended, and if 2 players are prepped and have all the stuff that they need, they high-five each other and they win the game. That's it. I'm pretty happy with the components in this game. I really like these little spaceships. I mean, they're some of them are a little cheesy, right? And this one here looks like a pen that you have, but they still look very different, and they're easy to distinguish despite the color. I also really like these pieces. They all have different shapes. You know, they could have used cubes or whatever, but these are cool. The tools look like a little hammer. I'm really happy with these, and I'm even happy with the tiles. I like how they fit together. Everything works pretty well. The card stock itself, it's okay, right? But again, it's very easy to differentiate, and you'll notice that each player's ship is on the back too. So again, it's easy to distinguish from a colorblind aspect. And then this stuff works fine. The iconography, the game has maybe a bit of a stark look on it, especially with these cars. I wish they had maybe a little bit more art on them. But for the most part, very happy with the production here. So that's pretty much it for Abandoned Planet. Now, I do like how the game looks. I just showed you the components. I think they're fantastic. And I like that the game goes up to 8 people. But fundamentally, this game fails for me. And the main place that it fails for me is because it's a negotiation game. And I love negotiation games. I love when the negotiation ends up in a game. But the thing about a negotiation game is you have to have something to negotiate with. In this game, you're not allowed to show the back of your tokens to other people, but you can kind of say, I'm going to 3. Are you going to 3? You shouldn't go to 3 because I'm going to 3. I'm going to go to 4. Maybe we can work together. But the fact of the matter is there's not enough currency to negotiate with other players. You kind of just all talk a little bit. People go their way. They go back and forth. Sometimes a little bit of bluff like, I'm going to attack you. I have a gun. I don't think you have a gun. I do. Well, yeah, but I have a shield. That sort of thing is okay, but it's really not enough. There's not enough of this cool negotiation. And when it comes down to, are you going to work with one other player to win? The fact is if 2 people can pull off a victory, they just do. You know, it's not like I could win with you or you. Who's going to make me the better offer? You win if you pick one of them. So you pick one and go with that person. That whole picking someone, I think there was a brilliant move not to pick the people you're next to. Don told me that when, people tend to always partner with the person they came with, and they tend to sit next to the person they came with. And so this makes you can't partner with your spouse, maybe who you brought, or your best friend, but you got to pick someone across the table. That's good. That's brilliant. And the idea here sounds good in theory, but like I said, I want a game that's full of negotiation. I'll do this. No, I'll help you here. I'll trade you. But you can't trade the resources. There's just not enough options for interaction. The interaction's mostly talk, and it's kind of like, all right, whatever, get to the next round. Because the leader looks at the card and was like, well, which spots are coming down? He's like, wouldn't you like to know? I'll give you a scrap if you tell me. It's just not. We found that, some leaders were like, I don't know. And they were kind of giving clues to another person, so that person and them would go to different places. But yeah, this one's just a miss for me. Now, I've heard really good things. This doesn't discourage me from the series at all. I've heard really good things about the next one. I'm looking forward to seeing more of what Don does. His first game was amazing, The Resistance. This one is not one that I enjoyed as much, but you never know. I'm looking forward to seeing what's next. But Abandoned Planet, for me, I like big games with negotiation, but this one has too little negotiation for the amount of game. Dice Tower Judgment, just not enough negotiation.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door. Yeah.